Good evening and welcome to the Newshour Agenda. I'm Madhavdas G. Viewers, there's no end to the free run to Khalistani goons in Canada. Under Trudeau, Khalistani mobs have been emboldened so much that they have now started entering the premises of Hindu temples and attacking Hindu devotees. Videos have emerged of violent attacks on two temples, Brampton's Hindu Sabha Mandir and Surrey's Lakshmi Narayan Mandir. An independent journalist filed a report from outside Surrey's Lakshmi Narayan Mandir, where violent Khalistani mobs not only defiled the Hindu temple but were also raising provocative anti-India slogans and put up posters against PM Modi and late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. All this happened under the watch of Canadian police. The Ministry of External Affairs has expressed concern over the safety of Indians after this violent attack. In its statement, the MEA has asked Canada to prosecute those indulging in violence. Prime Minister Modi also condemned the attack on Hindu temples in Canada, asserting that such acts of violence will never weaken India's resolve. He's also called upon the Canadian government to ensure justice and upholding the rule of law. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Leader of Opposition Pierre Poilievre, and a slew of other Canadian MPs were forced to condemn the violence. But in their messages, none of them spoke a word against Khalistanis. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi's "Ek Rahenge to Safe Rahenge" message also resonated in Canada, with a priest of the Hindu temple in Brampton echoing the unity call, saying, "Sabko ek hona padega."
आज कोई अगर कह दें कि एक है तो सेफ है, तो ये लोग एक है तो सेफ है उसको भी गलत तरीके से परिभाषित करने में लगेंगे। जो लोग देश को तोड़ना चाहते हैं, जो लोग समाज को बांटना चाहते हैं, उन्हें देश की एकता अखर रही है।
आज समय वो आ गया है जब आज हम लोगों को अपने बारे में नहीं, अपने आने वाली संतति के बारे में सोचना पड़ेगा। सबको एक होना पड़ेगा।
Viewers, the recent attacks on Hindu temples are just the latest addition to a series of such violent incidents targeting Hindu places of worship in Canada by Khalistani elements. On the 4th of November 2024, the Brampton Hindu devotees were attacked by Khalistani goons. On 22nd July 2024, in Edmonton, anti-India graffiti on the walls of the Swaminarayan Mandir was sprayed. On the 7th of September 2023, in Surrey, a Durga temple was desecrated with anti-India graffiti. On the 17th of August 2023 in Surrey, pro-Khalistan posters were pasted on Lakshmi Narayan Mandir. On the 5th of April 2024, Ontario Hindu temple was vandalized with anti-India graffiti. On the 13th of February 2023, in the Mississauga Ram Mandir, it was defaced by Khalistani extremists. And on 31st of January 2023, the Brampton Gauri Shankar Mandir was defaced with anti-India graffiti. All of this has been widely reported. And meanwhile, the attack on Hindus in Canada has triggered a political debate here in India over the need for unity. While BJP leaders have unequivocally come out in their condemnation of the attack, there are those within the India bloc who are alleging that it's BJP's polarization politics which is responsible for such attacks.
जो नारा भारत के कण कण, भारत के जन जन का था और जन जन ने अपनाया कि बटेंगे तो कटेंगे, बटेंगे तो बांटने वाले महफिल सजाएंगे, अब वो नारा केवल भारत में ही नहीं बल्कि दुनिया भर के सनातनी, कनाडा में भी जो सनातनी हिंदू है वो उसको अपना रहा है।
बीजेपी ने जो पूरे मुल्क के अंदर ये स्टार्ट कर दिया है पोलराइजेशन, तो इसकी वजह से बहुत सी जगहों के ऊपर बाहर के मुल्कों में भी इस तरह की सिचुएशन बनने लगी है। क्योंकि वोट पॉलिटिक्स है, वोट के लिए वो अपील करते हैं कि इकट्ठे हो जाओ।
देखिए, जो बटोगे कटोगे स्लोगन है वो नकारात्मक है। ही आदरणीय अखिलेश यादव जी ने भी कहा, समाजवादी पार्टी ने कहा। देखिए, जो हमला हुआ है वो समाजवादी पार्टी उस हमले की निंदा करती है।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's take this across to our guest. Joining us is Pradeep Bhandari, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow of ORF, is with us. We also have Kushal Mehra, who's an author and podcaster. Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, is with us. Imran Ahmed Ali is a lawyer and a political analyst. Ravi Srivastava, political analyst, is also with us. Let me start with you first and foremost, Ravi Srivastava. You know, it's one thing to talk about or blame politically the BJP and its politics of polarization. Here we are seeing an attack taking place in Canada. Even the Canadian officials, including the Prime Minister, have condemned it. Of course, they've not named Khalistan. But the question is, why are we here in India politicizing it? We need to stand one in such situations, do we not? Ravi Srivastava.
Good evening, Madhav. See, first of all, this particular, I am getting echo. Can you get it corrected, please?
Okay, we'll correct that echo. I apologize. We'll correct the echo. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. This particular slogan is made by Yogi Adityanath only in context of Bangladesh. Now, nobody has made this slogan. BJP, his Deputy Chief Minister himself said it, that this is not a slogan of Bharatiya Janata Party. I know why we are, again and again, we are referring to it. And who is going to divide? Who is going to be cut? Nobody knows it. So why this weird kind of slogan is being patronized by the people and responded? I don't find any reason for this. As far as the Canada incident is concerned, their Prime Minister Trudeau is fully aware that another leader, the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, all have strongly condemned it. But I think the police there was hand in gloves with the Khalistan supporters. So they should take a proper action against them. And to the responsibility of the government of India to pressurize Canadian government in the interest of its own people over there, take necessary action. That's the most required thing. I will refer about that slogan is prevailing in India, applicable in Canada. What kind of bogey is that?
Okay, Pradeep Bhandari, this is a false bogey. What was said by Yogi Adityanath was in the context of Bangladesh. Don't link it to Canada and try and play politics on this. Please respond to Ravi Srivastava.
Madhav, at the outset, let me tell you that Canada should know, as the Honourable Prime Minister has said, that Indian resolve will not weaken, and it should know that it should not turn out to be the Pakistan of the West. Now, I am extremely disappointed with my friend Ravi and the Indian opposition that at the time when national interest has to be supreme and you should speak in one voice on national interest, the likes of Priyanka Vadra and Rahul Gandhi, who tweeted dozens of tweets on Gaza, have not even tweeted once for the religiously persecuted Hindus whose temple was attacked in Canada. The Indian opposition is absolutely silent. This is where the hypocrisy of the Indian opposition comes, right from Bangladesh to Canada, wherever the victim is the Hindu, and even when it is about the national interest, the Indian opposition attempts to take the national interest behind because the victim is the Hindu. Let me tell you, Madhav, that this is a conspiracy. If you recall and remember, on the 30th, the terrorist Gurpan Singh Pannu, who've been given all the platform in Canada, he issued a threat to Hindus, advocating to individuals that you should not allow Hindus to celebrate Deepavali. The Canadian government did not act even once. And after that, you see this happening where the goons, I will call them goons, in the guise of uniform, were even attacking a 3-year-old teen less than the age of 18 years. So our concern is about religious freedom in Canada. But I appeal to the Indian opposition friend to leave petty vote bank politics aside, but at least speak in one unison. Ravi Srivastava tried to give cover shield to Trudeau rather than saying that it's the Indian Prime Minister and the Indian government who's given a befitting response that we will not compromise on the national interest.
Okay, let me bring in Tehseen now, because you referred to the Gandhis as well. Tehseen, is there a contrast over here to be drawn? Because he says that when it comes to Gaza, there are dozens of tweets that come in from top members of the Gandhi family who are now, of course, the ones who are literally running the party. But when it comes to Canada, there's absolute silence. Why is that the case? Please unmute yourself and speak, Tehseen.
Madhav, grateful for having me on your show. There are 3 or 4 issues that I want to raise, which are extremely important for me. Look, Pannu's gone on live television, CBS, and he said that he's working with the current Prime Minister of Canada's office. After that, he issues a threat on TV and otherwise that he will disrupt Diwali celebrations in Canada. All of this is on record. On 30th October, the Hindu Association, which represents over 6 crore Hindus, writes to the government for security. Times Now has put this out to the Canadian government, asking them to secure themselves. Despite this, these attacks have taken place. This is a failure of the current Canadian government, but also of the current Indian government, because all of these threats were in public domain. Had it not been for people like Kushal Mehta, who's here on your show today, raising this issue since yesterday, if the government would perhaps have been snoozing. This is a pattern. In England, it required me, Anand, and other people to raise this on Times Now. It was 3 days later that the diplomat got up. I will come to later what we could have done. Not only have we spoiled relations with the Liberal Party, which is Justin Trudeau, who's a neo-toddler and is of no good, even Pierre, the opposition leader, boycotted our Diwali celebrations in Parliament. This government is clueless. It's as clueless like a headless chicken, like a deer caught on headlights on a highway. This government simply does not know how to protect Hindus in Canada, be it in Bangladesh, be it in England. Therefore, instead of the foreign minister making reels, if he can get onto his job of doing jobs of protecting Hindus. I want to make one thing very clear. This is not a Hindu versus Sikh issue. This is an issue of some people who live in fantasy land, just like unicorns of fantasy, that there is some place called Khalistan. Khalistan may exist in their brains. There is nothing called Khalistan. Some terrorists who are doing this. And it is incumbent of the Indian government.
There are many points which are very contentious that you have just mentioned. And in fact, before I bring in Pradeep, I want to bring in Sushant Sareen, because you're alleging that this is some kind of failure of diplomacy. Sushant Sareen, is it really that? Because he even goes on to say that we have spoiled a relationship with the Liberals. Is that the case? Is that a fact?
So I am appalled that Tehseen has said that we have spoiled relations with the Liberal, as though, the Liberal Party was washed in milk and smelling of honey and perfume. The Liberal Party in Canada is in love with these transnational better than anybody else.
I'm sorry, Sushant, there's a problem with your audio. I'm going to just direct that question at Pradeep while we fix that. I apologize. Yes, Pradeep, quickly respond to him, because the government has failed in ensuring and restoring the diplomatic ties and ensuring that there was proper security, etc., that was provided to these places that were under threat.
Well, Madhav, you asked him a direct question. Why has the Indian opposition party, I will answer Tehseen, Priyanka Vadra, who's done 10 tweets on Gaza, not even one voice for the Hindus, whether it is Bangladesh or whether it is Canada. Please note, even in the time of Bangladesh, it is Tehseen Poonewala and the others in the Congress party who are speaking a lot. It is Prime Minister Narendra Modi who raised it first, and it was then followed by Donald Trump. On this part, I want to go on the chronology of it. Madhav, you and I are both aware of how separatist and these Khalistani elements play an influential role in Canadian politics, and this is all happening for vote bank purpose. But the Ministry of External Affairs, whenever the Canadian officials have tried to escalate, we've given a befitting response. Now, matters of diplomacy, how we've succeeded or we've not succeeded, these are not matters where I and Tehseen Poonewala are experts which will tell us. Neither is Tehseen an expert on foreign relations. But what I can tell you, let me show you a poster. This is a poster which was there right at the protest, which is about Kill Modi politics, and at the same time it is also promoting and in fact eulogizing the assassination of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. My question is that domestic politics can happen, domestic criticism and proposition can happen. Why is the Indian opposition not speaking in one voice on this? That is my charge.
Respond to that, Tehseen. And also, it's a fact, Tehseen, let me just add one point. The Ministry of External Affairs statement, I'm sure you've seen that, refers to the fact that the government had taken this up in terms of providing security, but those requests were ignored. That's a very, very serious comment that the government has stated. Is there in the press release today?
Both of us are aware, 5 seconds, Tehseen, 5 seconds. Both of us are aware that we've asked for extradition requests and none of that has been succeeded.
Yeah, Tehseen.
Justin Trudeau is a neo-toddler who's completely goofed up foreign relations with everyone, trying to hide his China connection, the screwed up relations with India.
Language, please, language. Yeah.
No, he's completely ruined relations. No two ways about it. This neo-toddler does not deserve to be Prime Minister, but that's their internal problem. My problem is that except for vague statements and reels made by my foreign minister, specific questions are not being answered. When in public domain there is a threat, on 30th October, the Hindu community is putting out specific letters saying, listen, we are under threat, we need security, and none of that is provided by the government. What was the intelligence doing, or whatever intelligence that you had, that you did not know that police has been infiltrated by these so-called terrorists? Again, I will not refer to them as Khalistani, I will refer to them as Canadian terrorists. Number two, when you know that our Hindu citizens have had a pattern of being attacked, be it England last year, be it Bangladesh some time ago, or be it Canada right now, what was your SOP? Point number 3, if we've had diplomatic failure of a breakdown, which I agree, and I'm blaming on Canada, why could we not use other means to reach out to make sure our citizens are secure? Why does it take somebody like a Kushal Mehra to raise issues on Twitter for the government to wake out of its snooze? Remember, it is since yesterday that protests have started. We also have a trouble because one last thing, the conservative MPs being wooed by our government, I'm saying Prime Minister Modi is my friend, were there attending referendums of Khalistan, endorsing them. Conservative, I'm not talking about liberal MP.
Okay, let me bring in Sushant. He's back with us. I'm told, Sushant, it's not only a diplomatic failure, it's an intelligence failure, a failure on multiple counts is the allegation of Tehseen. I want Sushant to respond to that.
Unless it's Tehseen's point that India should be directly intervening in Canadian affairs, I think diplomatically the government of India has done whatever it could do. I would imagine we can do more in terms of retaliation now, because I think the statement for making just, the time for making statements is long gone. It's good that the Prime Minister, for the first time in an year, since, these scurrilous allegations that the Canadians have started, making against us without providing any evidence, have come to the forefront. This is the first time the Prime Minister has actually responded, as far as I can remember. And it's good. It's a pretty strongly worded statement. But I don't think the statements are enough, because the time for statements is long gone. We made some rather scathing statements in the past, which is what we could do diplomatically. We've responded to the Canadians. For every action they've taken, we've taken an equal and opposite reaction. All very well. But I think there are a lot of other tools in our arsenal which we need to now start bringing out. It's not enough for the government of India to keep saying, but the people-to-people relations are important. Look, you're not going to get people-to-people relations by, following the kind of policy we have been following of trying to play it down. Now, a tipping point has already been reached. So I think we really need to start taking action. Madhav, look, let's face it. Govind Vallabh Pant many decades ago had said that if the local SHO is involved with the local thugs, they will wreak havoc over a city. In Canada, it's the thugs who are in the government, in the police, in the administration, and that is why you see a complete breakdown of law and order in Canada. And this in a country which never stops talking about that it's a rule of law country. Now, I think the government of India needs to get off, it's soft kind of a policy that we'll keep people to people. There is no people to people. There is no Trudeau problem. It's a Canada problem, because Canadian politicians have been infiltrated, have been fought over, have been compromised by these Khalistani thugs and terrorists, right? And they are not going to move a damn inch. I also blame the Hindu community. Kushal has been batting for them, and he is very optimistic that everything will work out because they've suddenly barred these guys from coming into their temples. Let me tell you, it's too little too late. These guys should have started consolidating when the first attack started taking place on the Hindu temple. But many of these guys who are running the Hindu temples are actually also doing business with Khalistanis, also sucking up to the Canadian politicians, also inviting them, wanting to get their selfies clicked. Now they are paying the wages for what they have been doing. So this soft peddling of this...
Let me bring in Kushal on that note.
Backfiring on us.
Yeah, let me bring in Kushal on that note. Kushal, I think you're best placed to answer this, being in Canada. But the question that many are asking is, A, there are two very important points. Should the action have been taken? Should the reactions that have been coming in now, should that have been done maybe a year or two ago when these attacks first started taking place? Number one. And number two, in terms of the actual infiltration, because Mr. Sanjay Verma said it, there have been several reports that these elements have actually infiltrated the border forces, the police, etc., making things very difficult, because there are some videos also that have gone viral today, which, several social media users say goes to prove the same. Where do you stand on this, Kushal?
Yeah. Well, good evening, everyone. It's kind of afternoon here in Canada. So, to begin with, first, just to clarify, I am optimistic is a separate issue, but nobody has criticized the Hindu community of Canada probably more than I have. You just need to go and check my podcasts. If it was not for me probably going hammer and tongs against this lot that has betrayed the Hindu community, probably this whatever has happened today also would not have happened until and unless some of us would not have really done this. So as far as the the Canadian issue is concerned, we need to understand that I think somebody has tweeted a confirmation where the Peel Police Media Relations at 11:17 Eastern Time has actually confirmed that they are aware of a video circulating on social media which shows an off-duty Peel police officer involved in a Khalistani demonstration, and this officer has been since suspended in accordance with the Community Safety and Policing Act. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. You have to understand everybody's got to be blamed for here. Even the government of India is to be blamed. The government of Canada is to be blamed. So independent Canadian journalists of Indian origin, whether it's people like Balraj Dale and many others, and Balraj Dale, in the case of Balraj Dale, at a grave personal cost, where he was beaten up black and blue by Khalistanis here in Canada, they have been meticulously documenting how the Khalistanis have rigged Canadian elections when it comes to nominating candidates. I mean, I don't know if people in India know, you could be a tourist visa holder and vote in a nomination of the Liberal and the NDP. Like, you can just come for ghumne ke liye and you can just go and vote if there is a nomination happening. Conservatives, you need to be a permanent resident at least. But Khalistanis have infiltrated the system, whether it's the border police, and we are paying the price for that. And yes, the community was docile, but I was part of a 5-hour meeting where literally all the giant community leaders of the Hindu community were there. I cannot divulge everything that was discussed in the meeting. There are serious steps that are going to be taken by the community, because if they don't take it, the devotees will now come after them. Forget the Khalistanis.
All right, better late than ever perhaps, but let me bring in Imtiaz Ali on this. Imran Ahmed Ali, I beg your pardon. Imran Ahmed Ali, the question is this. This is how grave things are, that this elements, this Khalistani elements, terrorists have actually infiltrated all arms of the politics, of security forces, so on and so forth. So where is the debate here? Where is the questioning of BJP and its politics? Why is that becoming the subject of the debate is still unclear?
Well, I'll tell you, the only issue here is that none of us on the panel do not condone the events that have happened in Canada. All of us say what has happened is wrong. And
do not condone or do not condemn?
Do not condemn. We all condemn it in general, and none of us have ever said that, whatever's happened is the right thing. The only thing is that this is the impact of divisive politics. When my friend from the BJP again said that, the Congress has it, if there is a image of someone losing their life in those posters, it is of Indira Gandhi. So let's not come here and say, Rahul Gandhi has not tweeted. That is one family that in all these posters has probably lost the most. So that is another thing. All I'm saying is that, yes, it is a failure of diplomatic relations, because this is where the diaspora is impacted. This is where we cannot let foreign relations between two countries die down or come to the extent, the lowest point that I would feel, in my personal knowledge, this would be the lowest point, if this is how the diaspora is being affected.
And but that's all the more reason, the very fact that these Indira Gandhi posters are here, they've come up in the past, why would anybody say anything but come out and outrightly condemn these actions of these individuals concerned?
Absolutely.
That's the question over here, Imran, because, that doesn't seem to be happening. There's still people who are speaking in hushed tones, so on and so forth, saying that, because there's no BJP there in Canada. There are people whose temples are being attacked. It doesn't matter if they support the BJP or the Congress at the end of the day.
No, where I differ with you is that this is not again, we're coming back. Why I say this is divisive politics is my friend from the BJP again makes this about an anti-Hindu. It is not about an anti-Hindu. For me personally, I would say that an attack on anybody, any religion of India should be condoned. You condone an attack on a masjid, you condone an attack on a...
So who is the attack on? If it wasn't an attack on Hindus, who was it on?
Why are we not seeing the relevance of the Indian consular camp that was going on inside?
Of course, but the point being made over here is, if there's an attack on a temple, it's an attack on a temple. You have to call a spade, sir.
I say it's an attack on India. So let's not again bring it into these divisive things that, it's an attack on Hindus, it's an attack on that. It's an attack on all of us.
Okay.
All of us should condemn it.
Sushant Sareen, your response. All right. Many hands going up. Sushant Sareen first. Yes.
No, I can't understand what Imran is trying to say. What is the reluctance in saying, yes, it's an attack on the Hindu community in Canada, and accept it? Because it is an attack on the Hindu community. Of course, they might be of Indian origin. Many of them might not even be of Indian origin, because they could be from other parts of, North America and other parts of the world who are settled in Canada but follow the Hindu faith. It's an attack on the Hindu community. What is this Hindu misia among these people that they cannot even say that Hindus are being attacked in Canada and being attacked with the connivance and the complicity of the Canadian state. Kushal again is talking about, the Peel police has suspended a guy. Look, Canadian law and order has completely collapsed because when these thugs and these drug smugglers get caught, they get bail, even murderers get bail within 24 hours. You can run over a guy, but if you happen to be a Khalistani, because you are part of that state-sponsored kind of terror networks which the Canadians seem to be running and seem to be condoning, that means that you will get a bail within 24 hours. So that is what the Canadian law and order as rule of law country in Canada has become. And I think it's about time we start calling a spade a spade. Look, frankly speaking, Madhav, as far as I am concerned, the responsibility of the government of India is to the Indians, right? If that means that you need to take very, very strong action, why hasn't the government of India suspended all OCI cards in Canada right now and review the entire OCI which is given? Ban all Khalistanis and their family members and their extended family members on the OCI card. Why has that not been done? Why has there not been a crackdown on visas? Why has there not been other punitive actions being taken? Why has the Canadian consulate in a couple of cities out here, which have been used to funnel money into all kinds of dubious NGOs and for sponsoring these Khalistanis out of India so that they can get a safe passage? Why hasn't the government?
All right, questions coming for you, Pradeep, from Sushant Sareen.
India even made a statement in Parliament right now.
Yeah.
They should call a Parliament session. They should make a statement. Don't have a debate.
Okay, Sushant Sareen, normally very critical of opposition, continues to remain, but in this case also asking some very serious questions of the government. Pradeep, why is the government not escalating this further, not ratcheting it up further, is his question. Please respond.
Madhav, this is the same government which has expelled their diplomats. This is the same government which has acted on their High Commissioner. This is the same government which has spoken absolutely against the Canadian Prime Minister's attempt to vote bank politics and shield terrorists. That is point number one. And this is the same government where the Prime Minister of the country has spoken in unequivocal terms. Now, whatever is happening by the intelligence agencies are not matters of television debates which Tehseen Poonewala should know or somebody else should know. These are matters which happen on the track to and behind the scene. Now, I'll just give you an example. It is shocking what the representative from the other party said, that, it's not an attack on the Hindus. Now, look at the chronology. I'm not saying that there is a relation, but look at it. Sikh for Justice is a banned terror outfit. It is fronted by Gurpant Singh Pannu. Rahul Gandhi makes a statement on Sikhs. It is backed in an official letter of Gurpant Singh Pannu. Sikh for Justice backs Rahul Gandhi. Does that logic means that Gurpant Singh Pannu and Rahul Gandhi are working together with the logic of the opposition MPs? I do not understand. On matters of national security, why are we not on one voice? And on the part of another point, I will tell you, this is there. We've given multiple extradition requests. Everybody is aware about it. Another point, Madhav, is very important to understand that the Canadian politics at this moment is entangled by separatists and extremists. And as I said in the start of my debate, Canada should know it should not be considered as the Pakistan of West. And every relation has a tipping point. The Honorable Prime Minister said that enough is enough, and then the response will follow. But please acknowledge that wherever in the country the Indians are in trouble, this is the government which has acted, whether it is Pakistan, Afghanistan or anywhere else.
Okay, Tehseen, I want to add one point to that when it comes to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, because, very famously Mr. Rahul Gandhi had met Ilhan Omar, who had actually taken a stand supporting Canada against India when it came to the Niger killing. So at the end of the day, responsibility is there. I mean, of course, you can question the government. There's no taking away from that. But also leaders of opposition have to be a little responsible, because look who is the person that they are meeting there in the United States.
So I'll address the Ilhan Omar ghost in the room first. I don't mean this in any way derogatory to anybody. And then I'll answer the questions the BJP spokesperson Pradeep has raised. He met in a delegation. Should he have met her, not met her, not had her name on a delegation is a matter up for debate. The Honorable Prime Minister met Jeremy Corbyn on a one-to-one, not in a delegation. He said some quite wacky things, Mr. Corbyn. So I think that is much worse than what Ilhan Omar said. I'm not counting anyone's patriotism or pointing fingers at anyone's patriotism. If anything, Rahul Gandhi is a son and a grandson of a martyr whose grandmother was martyred by the same terrorists. But let's come to the issue at hand. We can surely blame statements of opposition leaders. Khattar's statement was used by Pakistan in the United Nations. That is not the issue. The issue is the following. We, until recently, had our diplomats there. We had a raw desk. Did they at least give us information that we failed? I'm not asking for interference. We've completely failed. Leave that aside. Number two, there's public domain that an attack is going to happen. Pannu publicly warned. Did we preempt or take any action? Fine, later on you make a reel and say we've done something, or you put a tweet out. What does the tweet say? The tweet, for as strong as the tweet is by the Honorable Prime Minister, does not pinpoint who the people who are accused are. He does not.
Let me bring in Kushal on this. Kushal, what is it that the government of India could have done that Tehseen says the government has not done? I want to understand that. What is the specific thing? Because here you have the government which says we warned the Canadian authorities, it's their jurisdiction, that they have to provide security. What in your view is the thing that the Indian government could have done or the Indian diplomats could have done which was not done on time, as Tehseen is alleging? And do you agree with him at all?
Yeah, so let me first clarify this. I would request Imran to stop gaslighting the entire Hindu community of Canada by saying that the Khalistanis over here do not say anti-Hindu sentiments. Imran, with due respect to you, you don't live here. I do. I know what they shout when they are outside our temples. They shout slogans like Hindu Indian, go back to India. They go outside Caribbean Hindu temples and say Hindu Indian, go back to India. The people going inside the temple are Caribbean Hindus, so for goodness sake, have some respect for the the Hindu community. Just because they happen to be a majority in India doesn't mean that they are not a minority in Canada. So please have the decency to respect those facts. Point number 2, as far as I'm concerned, the government of India cannot cancel all OCIs, but the government of India should be asked why was that blacklist at the behest of a Congress chief minister of that time, Captain Amrinder Singh, removed, and people should all be taken back to that 2019-20 blacklist that the then Congress Chief Minister Amrinder Singh told the then Prime Minister Mr. Modi, and all this rubbish has started from that. We should have targeted OCI cancellations, but larger than that, we should stop sending our students. Maybe the Indian government should stop allowing student loans to be given for universities in Canada. That could be done. And maybe Saskatchewan should not give us lentils. Maybe Alberta should not give us coal briquettes. Maybe we could do these things, and if we do that, because the trade imbalance between India and Canada is very different, these could be the things that the government of India should consider. All I see right now from the government of India is, just like every time, they just keep doing Kadi Ninda. I mean, everybody keeps doing Kadi Ninda, so theek hai, karte raho Kadi Ninda.
Imran, you want to respond to that? Because he's literally schooled you as to what's the ground situation there in Canada, which you clearly are not aware of, he says.
The only problem is that what I was initially and what I actually said was that this is an attack on all of us. And Kushal has very successfully tried to mold it around and say that, this is indecent of you and all that. What I was saying was that this attack has to be considered an attack on all of us. And I was not saying that this is not an attack in itself. So let's go back to the fact that the diaspora is actually impacted. All Kushal said was things that would benefit the people who are there. And that is exactly what I'm saying. That you have to take remedial actions. We cannot just finish diplomatic ties with the country. There is a sizable diaspora that is impacted.
Okay,
right?
We'll have to leave it there. We'll have to leave.
Government may or may not do.
Okay, Pradeep wants to quickly rebut. Yes, quickly.
In the entire show, Imran has not said that the attack is on the Hindu community. In the entire show, Tehseen has not justified, even when grandmother of Rahul Gandhi was assassinated and these attackers are eulogizing it. Why is the Indian opposition not commenting on it? Whatever has to happen will happen behind the scenes. If the MEA will not tell all of us and then act. It will
all right,
act
completely out of time. Completely out of time. Pradeep, I have to come in now. Pradeep Bhandari, Sushant Sareen, Kushal Mehra, Tehseen Poonawala, Imran Ahmed Ali and Ravi Srivastava. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this evening, and certainly, of course, justice has to be done in this particular case given the outrageous scenes that we have witnessed this morning here in India.